Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I, Manali Israni, on behalf of Sanans and Developers, welcome you all and our esteemed panelists for this event of panel discussion on affordable housing, pillars of affordability. We are honored and appreciate that you all have joined us here today for this talk. Housing, a basic necessity for a happy and healthy life, its need cannot be emphasized more. One can buy a house and it becomes a home only if it is affordable. Through this event today, we will try to find out how various stakeholders can play their part and become the pillars of affordability. Our event will first start with a presentation on affordable housing by Mr. Shailesh Israni, Managing Director, Sun and Sand, and it will be followed by the panel discussion. I request Mr. Shailesh Israni to please come up and continue further.
Thank you, Manali, Additional Managing Director, Sun and Sand Developers, and happy coincidences that she is also my wife. Well, welcome to everyone. I'm glad to see this gathering having such a good representation. We have a representation from Dubai Silicon Oasis, Mohammed bin Rashid Housing, Government of Dubai, banks, contractors, consultants who are our backup strength for any project that we do. Also, a note of gratitude to our panelists who will be coming forward later, to the audience, media, Cityscape Informa, Cityscape Global and Informa for helping us have this event. I'll just start off about the brief about the developers. The company was established in India in 1985 by two brothers, Mr. Rajan and Sunil Israni, both civil engineers. The company is called Maruti Group. In 2005, we have established in Dubai, and the company is called Sun and Sand Developers. The second generation of the company has now also joined the business, and that's how we have split ourselves to do business in each of the cities that we work in. And how do we build? The process starts with land procurement, which is a science by itself. It is followed up by in-house contracting. We manage our construction in-house. This helps us achieve quality control and timely completion. We market our projects in-house, so we are able to reach the target audience and we are able to communicate to them directly. And we also do in-house facility management wherever the need arises. And yes, they are like Superman. So we have been a zero-debt firm in Dubai for the last 7 years. Our first project was in 2008 on the Sheikh Zayed Road, the Sunrise building. It was a boutique retail and office space. In 2011, we followed up with an office building in Dubai Silicon Oasis. It has 83 plug-in offices, all rented right now. And then we have started Sunshine Residences last year. It is again a project in Dubai Silicon Oasis. It has 40 exclusive duplex 5-room apartments. It's under construction and it is scheduled to be completed next year. These are some of the awards which we have won in the last 7 years. Last year we came up with a case study on sustainable strategies in real estate. We have shared our experience on how we survive recession. This year we are sharing a dream. This has been a dream since we came to Dubai in 2007 to deliver projects with affordable pricing. Contents, what are we about to discuss? We are defining affordable housing to start with, because there is a lot of confusion when it comes to affordable housing. It's conceived as staff accommodation, labor accommodation and all of that. What are the challenges we face in affordable housing? And then what we believe are the 4 pillars of affordable housing. And then we are also discussing a pilot affordable project. This is a small project we are doing to share our values on affordable housing. It is the collective responsibility of the public sector and private sector to provide affordable housing. So defining affordable housing, we'll start off with the quality parameters. The structure should be stable. It should have good quality material. It should have light and ventilation. It should have adequate internal amenities, car park and lower running costs. And the area where we develop affordable housing should have ready infrastructure. It should have public transport, and it should be within 30 minutes of commuting distance from the important places like places of work, hospital, markets, and schools. Coming to the financial parameters, this is interesting. 30 to 40% of the income of the income earned should go towards housing. We have another parameter, which is annual salary multiplied by 5 is the value of the affordable housing that a person can afford. Now, from our experience, this zone always qualifies. So the EMI or the rent should be within 30 to 40% of the monthly salary, and the value is annual salary into 5. So based on these criteria and buying land from the open market, at present, a developer can provide housing to persons earning 6,000 dirhams per month. So 6,000 dirhams per month is 72,000 dirhams a year, which is 360,000 dirhams should be the value which he can afford. These are the criteria we have based, and we'll come to how this value is sustained. Challenges in affordable housing, I will not go into the detail because the simple maths is the price of an apartment is land cost, construction cost, and developer's overhead and margin. So the challenges therefore are in economizing the land cost, construction cost, overhead and margin, and making available end user finance. And further, we need to have sustainability of affordability. So we must have barriers that the affordability is sustained. So what we believe are the 4 pillars of affordable housing. They are the support of the government and the master developer, the support of the financial institutes, and lastly and very importantly, even the support of the customers. If each of us cohesively work together, then the cost of a standard apartment can be reduced by nearly 36%. Now, if you look at the standard apartments in Dubai, this is the general breakup. That 13% goes towards the land component, 57% goes towards the construction, 8% is generally the overheads, and 22% is the profit. For an affordable housing project, by cohesively working together, and if we have the support of all the pillars, then the land cost will have a 50% saving, 38.5% saving can be achieved in construction, 31% can be achieved in overheads, 23% is the margin that the developer can reduce. So we will start off with the first and the foremost pillar of affordability, which is the support of the government. So what do we expect? The land should be at the subsidized price, but we don't want a free land. So what we mean is allocate land at actual infrastructure development cost, and the sale of the land must not be an economic loss to the government. Next, land with ready infrastructure must be spread at various pockets around the city rather than having a separate city for affordability, because developing a new city would again have infrastructure costs. If you take a regular development, for instance, you take Dubai Silicon Oasis, you have a pocket of land which is provided at infrastructure costs. So the remaining land is still sold at premium, but that land specially allocated for affordable housing is at a lower price. This way, even the affordable housing is a part of the community and it's not a segregated community. We are looking at 2 types of land. One is low density dwellings with low FAR within 30 minutes commuting distance from the city. Low density dwellings have lower construction costs and even lower operational costs. However, we are also open to high density dwellings with higher FAR along the upcoming metro lines with lower car park norms. This can also reduce the construction cost and encourage people to use the public transport. And barriers to flipping. To ensure affordability, it is important that we must have a minimum tenure during which the apartment cannot be sold. This is because if you have a land at affordable price provided, a developer has also reduced his margin, and eventually if the project goes to the secondary market, then it will again be sold at higher prices. Encouraging companies and employees to buy or lease. The employers on the size of the organization must be encouraged to buy and lease affordable housing for their staff. This way it is ensured that it is going to the end user directly and the affordability can be sustained. This is a very impressive quote from Franklin Roosevelt, the former president of America. He said that the real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, It is about the safest investment in the world, and that's a very good reason to invest in real estate. Achieving affordability, the role of the developer. Well, to start with, there should be a paradigm shift, and we must create a brand of affordable housing. Affordable housing is in no way low quality housing. One must use good quality material, perfect specification, and display unparalleled workmanship. It must be marketed in a way that people want to be associated with it. Control of construction cost, well, this will happen with research, innovation in design, and working with the right contractor. Reduce margin of profit, well, the single goal of such a project is to achieve affordability. The developer must also contribute by reducing profit and in turn look to increase production. Hence the answer is the economies of scale. Lower running costs. Sustainability, for sustainability one must use alternate sources of energy to meet the energy demand on the building, like use of solar panels to light up common areas and for water heating. Timely completion and handover. Well, timely completion and handover not only helps to control cost, it also ensures that the customer does not have an added burden of paying his existing rent and the EMI of the new apartment which he has purchased. Achieving sustainability, the support of the financial institutes. Well, this is again lower interest rates, flexibility over tenure, no early repayment charges, and an 18-month moratorium for the buyer so that it gives him a chance to buy off-plan, and by the time the project is completed, he won't have the burden of the capital repayment. Equal installment payment by bank and the buyer. Well, this can be looked at. At present, the guidelines for off-plan sales, the banks must finance up to 50% loan to value, and the buyer finds it difficult to arrange the 50% all by himself. It is proposed that the bank and the customer simultaneously pay the installments to reduce the burden on the buyer. Achieving affordability, the support of the customer. This is a small narrative of the various sizes around some prominent cities in the world. You will see the sizes of the studio 1 BHK and 2 BHK are slightly on the higher side as far as Dubai is concerned. We believe that this can be economized. Consider an apartment in Sunbeam Homes. You have the main entrance, you have living, dining, you have the balcony, you have a master bedroom with attached toilet, you have a closed kitchen, and you have an additional toilet in this case. So even a one-bedroom apartment, we are providing 2 toilets so that a small family is able to have their privacy. So you have the master bedroom for the parents, and if you have a single child, you can still convert the sofa into a sofa cum bed, and he also has a toilet. Investing in affordable housing and curtailing flipping. Well, this is for all of us. Affordable housing can easily fetch 7% ROI. It will positively impact the overall health of the market, and it is also a human-centric way of doing business. We must look at investment in affordable housing as long-term with steady return. Consider this very valid quote from Mr. Ken Wade. He says, investments in affordable housing and community development represent an engine of growth and a social wealth. For every $1 spent on affordable housing, at least 10 are returned to the community in the form of increased equity to start a new business and pay for higher education and job creation and stability and increased independence. Imagine the family that saves on their housing allowance. They will have opportunities to put their children in better schools or invest in their existing business. In this way, the money is again coming back into the economy. There is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. With this quote from Victor Hugo, I would like to introduce our pilot affordable housing project, the Sunbeam Homes. The project will be ready by 2017. The land is already procured from the master developer, and the plans are put up in Dubai municipality for approval. Where is it located? It is in the south of Dubai, in Dubai Industrial City. It is going to be the next hub for real estate. It will be close to the proposed Expo 2020 metro line. This is keeping in principles what we have mentioned in the case study. We have already discussed the 1 BHK. The 2 BHK is similar. So you have an entry, living, dining, balcony, you have a closed kitchen, you have a bedroom with a separate toilet, and you have a master bedroom with attached toilet. So the sizes are 1 BHK is 512 square feet, 2 BHK is 717 square feet. The rent for 1 BHK would be 29,000, for 2 BHK would be 39,000. Sale for 1 BHK would be 325,000. Sale for 2 BHK would be 459,000. At present, because the project is under approval, it is not for sale right now. So to summarize, what have we discussed? We have discussed the parameters for quality, we have discussed the financial parameters, and we have discussed that the annual salary into 5 should be the value of the home. EMI or rent should be within 30 to 40% of the monthly salary. And this is what we expect from each of the pillars, from the government: subsidized land, ready infrastructure, low density and high density dwellings, barriers to flipping, and encouraging companies to buy. From the developer, we expect that we must create a brand, control cost, economies of scale, lower maintenance costs, and timely handover. From the financial institutes, we are looking at lower interest rates, no ERCs, 18-month moratorium, and simultaneous installment repayments. And from the customer, we are looking to adopt the compact sizes and invest in real estate. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to invite our moderator for the afternoon, Mr. Declan King. He is the Director and Group Head of Real Estate Value Strat. Sir, if you can please come over.
Thank you very much, Sailesh. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this informative presentation on affordable housing, which is a very topical item of discussion in Dubai at these times. As Sailesh explained, my name is Declan King, and I'm pleased to be your moderator this afternoon for our panel discussion. I join you from ValueStrat. ValueStrat is a long-standing UAE company in operation since the 1970s, and our primary roles are in the areas of valuation, strategy, and advisory services. And we're pleased to be here this afternoon and bringing you through our panel discussion. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our panel. We're proud to have a panel of 4 very capable, interesting individuals to discuss this topic further. First of all, I'd like to ask Mr. Mohammed Humaid Al-Mari to take a seat. Mr. Mohammed joins us from the Mohammed bin Rashid Housing Establishment, where he is Assistant CEO in the housing sector. I would now like to ask Mr. Rajan Israni to take a seat. Mr. Rajan is Chairman of Sun & Sand Developers, the organizers of this event. Good afternoon, Mr. Rajan. I would now like to ask Mr. Suraj Rajshekar to take a seat. Suraj is GM of Rocky Real Estate. And finally, Mr. Neil Lindsay. We're very honored to have Mr. Neil join us from National Bank of Abu Dhabi. Neil is Executive Director of the Real Estate and Family Conglomerates Department. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Mr. Mohammed, if I could direct the first question to you, if I could ask you to elaborate on what you think are the needs for affordable housing as per the information you have in your operation.
Actually, we are at Mohammed bin Rashid Housing Establishment, are serving the needs of Dubai citizen with regard to housing, and we are serving actually everybody in Dubai with either providing a free land or providing the finance. And in many cases we are even providing ready units, which means that we are in the operation of financing and constructing affordable houses for Dubai citizens. Now when we talk about affordable housing, Dubai details or Dubai specification that we do are usually different than what is the international standard for affordable housing. It is smaller than the normal luxury housing in the city, But again, it is little larger than what is called really affordable housing, and this is because of the speciality of the Arab families and the local families in Dubai. We have done several communities in Deir Side and in Bar Dubai, and we finished about 5,000 units during the last 5 years. They cost us a range of between 900,000 and 2 million dirham for each unit. The people who did not want to take those ready units, they had the chance to receive a free land of about 10,000 square feet and a loan of about 750,000 to construct their own house. Usually this amount is not enough, so they would go for an extra loan from somewhere else, a bank or family or whatever, and this puts more burden on their shoulders. Many of their houses take longer than normal to finish, especially that most of these people are left alone constructing a house for the first time of their lives, which gives them hard time in finishing those projects. The alternative being studied and discussed right now is why don't we depend on the private market to provide us with the houses we need for the Dubai citizens, as they are providing now for everybody else. The problem is the private sector is usually targeting the high-end users, which is more expensive than what we do in-house. Those difficulties, if we can do something about, they will help us a lot finding a common ground with the private sector in order for us to be able to cater to the Dubai citizen needs. At that time, we will be able to focus on the strategic planning and strategic decisions rather than being busy doing the operation of constructing and financing. We have managed to outsource the financing to the local banks by taking care of the cost of the loan, the housing loan that we usually give free of interest, by paying the financial institutions a present value of their future cost of this lending, so that they can take care of the customers and give them the first loan, which is our loan, and any extra money they need to complete their houses. This is a product, we called it user, and banks are executing it successfully right now, and we are about to launch it, or we are about to expand it a little bit further in order for this to finance ready houses and construction as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Mohammed. Mohammed, do you have any further thoughts on how public and private partnership can be constructed going forward? Any ideas as to how both sectors can work more closely to provide affordable housing?
I think there are many opportunities to do that, especially that the market has been saturated with luxury housing already, and people or developers are looking for other type of opportunities, and it is time to make use of this term and try to make it in the favor of providing affordable housing, not only for, let's say, expatriates, but also for local citizens, and this will help us find a better connection with the private sector and make it a successful partnership.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Mr. Rajan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for a very interesting paper on affordable housing. If I can ask you maybe the simple question to begin with, why do you think developers at this exhibition today are moving towards affordable housing? Why is it now of interest to developers in Dubai?
From last 3 months, from last 3 months, we have done the research on this topic, and we have seen that in short, there is a great demand and less competition. So if I bifurcate, give you the details regarding the demand, we have categorized that persons, those who are drawing the salary between 6,000 to 12,000, how they are staying, what are their needs and all. So we'll give an example. If there is a person, he is drawing 7,000 or 7,000 per month, he can ask his wife on her visa. But for them, it is very difficult. Normally, they are having a sharing accommodation. This is part one. Number two, if husband and wife, they are there, they are having slightly less salary, 4,000 or 4,500, they both are earning. That is second type of category. The third type of category, we thought that there is any manager of a company who runs the business, if he owns the apartment, and suppose if he has got the staff, those who are bachelors, so if you are having a one bedroom, so in one bedroom, 2 persons can sleep, and in a living room, 2 persons can sleep. This is a decent living. So we thought that all those needs can be filled if we are having a one bedroom apartment for them. So there is a great demand, and when I say there's a less competition in Dubai, we have seen that in this sector, which we want to target, our overheads are very less, and we are ready to work at a lower margin. That's why we feel that most of the developers, because of their overheads and for the margin, we will have very less, the competition in this sector. That's why we are deciding to concentrate more on the affordable housing.
Excellent. And how can you deliver the affordable housing, Rajan?
See, first of all, tell you we are having some advantage in our company that all the activities like, the construction, the real estate marketing, the facility management is under one umbrella. And then Shailesh has shown you in the presentation, the magic figure is that any person, if they are drawing the salary, their repayment to the bank, we call as the EMI, or if they are paying the rent, this should be between the range of 30 to 40%. 30% is ideal, but maximum it is should be 40%. And to derive at any sales, you will understand it has land, construction, overhead, and margin. When it comes to land, we see that we do a sensible buying in the land, that where there is infrastructure and where there is also the lower FAR, because lower the FAR reduces tremendously the cost of construction, and also it should have an infrastructure. When it comes to the construction, we have put a lot of innovation into that. So in the planning and as well as in the construction, so that we are emphasizing on the natural light and ventilation. We want the maintenance cost should go down, so to have the solar panel. And then we also in the planning, we sit with our consultant and try to see that inside planning to an end user, there is minimal wastage and he can use it maximum. So by a better innovation in the construction. Third, we reduce our overheads. We are very, very sensitive about it to reduce our overheads and all. And we emphasize on completion the work in time, by which you'll able to achieve your date and your costs are less. And then we are happy to work at a reduced margin. All those factors, if you will add, we will definitely save around 30 to 35%, which we want to pass on to the customer by way we can achieve this.
Okay, excellent. Rajan, affordable housing is a relatively new topic in Dubai. How have you found government departments, government agencies? How have they embraced your ideas? How have they assisted you in this area?
See, I tell you, for this we are doing the humble beginning by launching a very small project to show all the stakeholders that this can be achieved. But at a larger scale, I will tell you, the affordable housing cannot be achieved without the support of the government. And I say the government, we are not expecting from the government anything free. So what we feel, as Shailesh told you, that if the land is available, it should be given at the infrastructure cost. And number second, there should be some rules and regulation so that the benefit goes to the end user, the flipping is curtailed. And I tell you that from last 1.5 months, we are sharing this thought with RERA, Dubai Land Department, also Mohammed bin Rashid Housing. And also I tell you, I am proud to say that few days back, I had this discussion with Affordable Housing Institute, whose in charge is Madam Mesa. All these people, when they listened to our story, they were very excited and we got very positive response. We had the meeting with real estate people, what we are doing, what are our areas, what are our pricing, what are our rentals. From all the sides, we have got a great response. So we feel that government will come forward and they will have a PPP model by this lot of problems can be sorted out.
Excellent. Thank you, Rajan.
Thank you.
Mr. Siraj, we're very pleased to have you join us from Rocky Real Estate. When we were thinking of our guests for the panel, we felt that we wanted somebody to represent the consumer, the marketplace, what demand might be like from buyers and potential tenants for affordable units. So if I can maybe begin by asking you, what do you think demand would be like for affordable housing in Dubai?
I think, first of all, Mr. Mohammed has addressed this, that luxury has reached a little bit of saturation. So today we should be talking about affordable housing. That's a segment which nobody's addressed. I think Rajan has taken a good initiative in this direction. And I personally believe there's a great demand, immense demand.
Okay, do you find many inquiries coming into Rocky Real Estate from people who maybe are priced out of the market, who need to have stock at a lower price range?
Yes, the pricing should be between, if you're looking at a one-bedroom in affordable housing, you should be talking about 300,000 to 400,000 dirhams, which I'm sure Mr. Rajan is going to be providing. And these inquiries we are unable to cater to today. Where is the product? We are unable to cater to. So we look forward to Rajan giving us these stocks. I think we will be able to meet our clients' demands.
Great, and as a valuer, what type of rate per square foot would you see affordable stock sitting at?
Instead of saying per square foot area, I would say on a total value, the ticket size, if it's between 300,000 to 400,000, I think it's an excellent ticket size.
And I think with your size, Mr. Rajan, we would see that maybe at 500-600 dirhams a square foot, something in that range.
Normally, the one-bedroom hall we are done innovation in the design. We are giving the dining, living, we are giving a small terrace, we are giving a closed kitchen. We are giving a powder room.
Great.
We are giving a master bedroom with attached toilet.
Okay, very good, very good. Siraj, the wider society, what's the benefits, do you think, for the society of Dubai for having a proper provision of social housing?
I would rather say thank you for asking me this question. I can tell you in simple terms, if you're going to be giving this housing at its ticket size between 300,000 to 400,000 dirhams. And as what Mr. Rajan said, the target audience is between people earning 12,000 dirhams to 6,000 dirhams. Let's say this person is earning 10,000 dirhams salary. 30% of his salary goes in as his HRA allowances. It's a cross. Now, 20% of his salary, gross salary, goes in as his savings. So what does that come up to? Sum up to 50%. Now, A, he's saving 50% of his salary. B, he's going to be closer to his place of work. He doesn't have to travel those 2 to 3 hours, to get to work and back. So he's going to be saving that 2 to 3 hours also. Now, A, he saved 50%. 2, he's going to be spending those 2 to 3 hours with his family, on his health. And he's going to be going back to work in a good frame of mind. And look at this. Personally, it's going to impact him very well. Professionally also, he's going to be producing far more better results. And in all, he's going to have this in mind that he's saving 50%, spending quality time, add with his family. What else does he want? I think that's going to be a blessing in disguise. I think Rajan is doing an excellent job by coming out with this.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Suraj. I think one of the strengths of the paper that Sun and Sand have produced on this topic is how they have filtered it down to 4 main pillars. The first pillar being the government, and we were very, very proud to have Mr. Mohammed join us today to speak on behalf of the government. The second pillar is a developer, and Mr. Rajan, obviously coming from Sun and Sand, represents that voice. And a third pillar being the customer, the consumer, which Mr. Suraj is representing today from Rocky Real Estate. But the very important fourth pillar is financial institutions, and without the backing of banks, without the backing of projects and end users, obviously difficulties would occur. So we're very pleased to have Mr. Neil Lindsay join us today from one of the largest banks in the UAE, from National Bank of Abu Dhabi. Neil, if I could maybe kick off by asking you, as a banker, do you see opportunities for project financing and end user financing in this space?
Yes, absolutely, Declan. I think in the first instance, if you take the project funding, the banks, and in particular the domestic banks, have a social responsibility to support these projects. I'm not for a moment suggesting that this is done at no cost, but I do think that if the projects are well designed, they're well constructed with reputable local developers, I do believe that with the right infrastructure surrounding these projects, that they can be delivered at a price point which will become affordable and, by default, viable project funding projects. From an end user perspective, it might be easy for me to say this as the banker in the room, but for the government and the developers, it's fundamentally about delivering a low cost or lower cost project. By default, again, if the costs are brought in, as was presented in the presentation, which was very informative, I'd say 30% less. By default, it's more affordable for the end user, and as a function of their disposable income, it's at a price point that effectively that they can fund.
Okay, excellent. Do you think there's any flexibility whilst maintaining existing LTV regulations from the central bank? Is there any flexibility in how banks disperse mortgages for off-plan properties, considering that most affordable units will be brought to the market as an off-plan sale? And if I apply for a mortgage to MBAD, you're restricted by only being able to give me a 50% home loan, and the buyer needs to come up with sizable deposits to actually make that off-plan purchase. Is there any scope for flexibility on how these off-plan loans are dispersed to the customer, how the tenure, the length of the mortgage is considered?
Yeah, very good question, obviously, for the banker. I do believe that there is scope for a bespoke loan product for what I would call approved affordable schemes.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting for a moment that this will be just a widely available project.
Across the board,
But these are projects that are run in tandem with government and developers, are pre-approved, pre-vetted. The potential end users are from a panel of potentially means-tested borrowers. And yes, there's definitely flexibility for a product like that. Perhaps that could be an initial period of interest only for a period of up to, say, 18 months, because we all know that in the initial year, the upfront costs are substantial between fit out and otherwise. I do think then, to take your point about the off-plan, I think that was, from my brief understanding of the market being in the region a year, is that 50% figure was purely to dampen speculation in the market. It really wasn't intended for owner-occupiers, such as the target market of affordable homes. So from the bank's perspective, is there scope to do something different? Yes. I think fundamentally to come up with a check for 50% of the equity is beyond the reach of the target market of affordable homes. So I believe, yes, we could look at higher LTVs potentially for a product like that. Again, and for me, the important point that these are for approved projects that have been vetted and supported by the government and by a developer who would be recognised and well regarded in the market.
Excellent. I think that's a great point, that both the development and the eligible purchases are looked at differently by banks to facilitate that special offering. So I think that's an excellent point. Thank you, Neil. Gentlemen, if I could ask you for your concluding remarks, Mr. Mohammed. Generally on the topic of affordable housing, if there was one thing you wanted the audience to bring away today, what would that be?
Well, I think that there is a huge opportunity in the affordable housing market, and I would invite all developers to think about doing something here, because Dubai needs a huge number of units at this category, where the growth of the population, so far it's not being satisfied, which means that there is good opportunity for making good profit, except that we need to be very careful in targeting the right category of future buyers.
Very good. Thank you, Mohammed. Shukran. Mr. Rajan, if you were to condense your thoughts and the presentation into a couple of closing remarks, what would they be?
I will say only in 2 words. It is possible. Let's do it.
Inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Suraj, final remarks from you?
I join Mr. Mohammed by saying a lot of private developers should come on board. They should give us more stock for us to sell, because there's an immense demand.
We hope, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Neil, bankers' final thoughts on the topic of affordable housing.
Yeah, it's more a holistic point. I think if the government are truly committed to delivering affordable housing, they need to be acting now and in meaningful quotas, because otherwise this market will be bypassed in favour of more margin-friendly projects.
Okay, very good, very good. Excellent final remarks. Gentlemen, thank you very much. If I could ask for Mr. Salesh to take the stand. Thank you very much.
We'll just request Mr. Ducklin for his concluding remarks also.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Rajan. I suppose as somebody who's spent my entire career in real estate and in all facets of real estate, I think it's genuinely fantastic that this city is now moving towards the topic of affordable housing. And I see Craig Plum from JLL, and Craig presented an excellent paper on this topic on the first day of Cityscape at the pre-event conference on Monday, with some excellent ideas. And it's a topic that's being very widely discussed. And I think from a built environment point of view, it's fantastic that this city is moving away from not just building the highest, the most expensive, the most exclusive, but building accommodation that everybody in this room can actually try and own. And then moving on to the points that Suraj covered, that from a social point of view, that gives us social cohesion, social integration. It means that we can move here, people can buy property, and they can spend the rest of their career in the UAE. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for both expats and locals to spend longer in a particular district, put down roots, and then all the benefits that brings to the wider economy. And then, like at home, once people get their first step on the property ladder with an affordable unit, they then move up, they trade up, and they move on to a bigger unit. So I would congratulate Sun and Sand on their development. As a valuer, I particularly like their introduction of smaller floor plans. I think that's the biggest success for this proposed development, because if you're an affordable buyer, you really don't mind if your one bed is 520 square feet instead of 1,020 square feet. You're happy just to get your key to your first unit. And I think this is a very imaginative, creative way to provide very usable real estate space that people can actually afford to buy. So I would congratulate Sun and Sand on that. They would be my closing remarks, Mr. Rajan. I hope they are reasonable and rational. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ducklin. I'll just request our panelists to stay on board just for a couple of minutes. We would like to present them with a memento. We'll start with Mr. Mohammad Humaid Al-Mari, please. Mr. Neil Lindsay. Mr. Ducklin King. Thank you, sir. And lastly, Mr. Suraj Rajshekhar. thank you everyone for your valuable time. This discussion would be incomplete without the presence of such a good audience. Because of time constraints, we have not taken questions, but we'll be happy to answer them at our stand. We are most welcome to come to 2D01. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.